Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Memorial Day Dharma service, and a special welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. We will begin with the ringing of the kansho, and then please follow along for the chanting of Ju-seige. You could follow along on the screen or in the purple service book in front of you on page 93.
묘쇼 초진법 特殊特本元年新上万特異三害を女部無下地津田未不詳願学エリ都市最小村士官や国家大戦岡の国書天人高知名家ナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムなにしかとくみょのせいさいどほんぼだいしんおじょあんらこNaman taps, naman tap, naman tap, naman taps, naman tap, naman taps, naman tap, naman taps, naman tap, naman taps. Naman taps.
We will now have the reading of Three Treasures and Sankyemon.
Please join me with hands together as we recite the Three Treasures. Hard is it to receive a human form. Now we have received it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma. Now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in this life, in what life shall we do so? Let us reverently take refuge together in the Three Treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. Together with all beings, may we attain the great way of enlightenment, awakening to the supreme intent of the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. Together with all beings, may we enter the storehouse of Dharma, acquiring wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. Together with all beings, may we become united at the great assembly, being free of all bondage. Hard is it to encounter the supreme, profound, and wondrous Dharma, even in 100,000 million kalpas. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true intent of the Tathagata. Sankyemon. Ninjin ukegatashi imasure ni uku. Buppo kikigatashi imasure ni kiku. Kono mi konjo ni mukatte dosezun ba, さらにいずれの章に向かってかこの身をどせん。 大衆もろともに四神に参謀に帰依し立て祀るべし。自ら仏に帰依し立て祀る。まさに願わくは衆生と共に大道を体現して無常を起こさん。自ら法に帰依し立て祀る。まさに願わくは衆生と共に深く共造に入りて知恵海のごとくならん。自ら僧に帰依し立て祀る。まさに願わくは衆生と共に大衆を通りして一切無限ならん。無常人人未明の方は百千万語にもあようことかたし、我今検問し従事することへたり、願わくは如来の真実義を下し立て祀らん。ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ。ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ。
Okay, and now Reverend Umezu will deliver her Dharma message in both English and Japanese.
Please join me, hands together, gassho, as I read a passage written by Venerable Shinran. It would be splendid if all people who say the Nembutsu do so not with thoughts of only themselves, but also do so for the sake of the imperial court and for the sake of the people of the country. Those who feel uncertain of their birth in the Pure Land should say the Nembutsu to settle that matter first. Those who feel that their own birth is completely settled should hold the Nembutsu in their hearts, mindful of the Buddha's benevolence, and say it with gratitude for that benevolence, along with the wish, may there be peace in the world, and may Buddha's teaching spread. Please consider this carefully. Naman Dabts, Naman Dab, Naman Dabts, Naman Dabts. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good. Thank you all for coming out and joining us today for our Memorial Day service. And if anyone is joining us for the first time, then I offer you a very special welcome for being here today. The passage that I've just read, as I mentioned, was written by Venerable Shinran in a letter to one of his followers, to a group of his followers. Venerable Shinran was clarifying that in the face of a social conflict that they were dealing with, of course, it is natural for people to be unhappy and complain that some things are unfair and wrong. But one need not act out of that anger. Rather, one should deeply entrust themselves to the Buddha's teaching through reciting Nembutsu. If one is not sure that they themselves will be reaching the Pure Land, then they should say Nembutsu until they feel settled within Buddha's vow. But if one feels completely settled within Buddha's vow, then one's Nembutsu should include the wish for the well-being of all people, including those of the imperial court and all of the people of the country, no matter if they agree with the group or not. Within this wish for all people to be safe and well is the wish for there to be peace in the world and for Buddha's vow to be heard by all people. As you probably know, Memorial Day is meant to be a day which we remember people who have lost their lives through conflict and fighting in war. This tradition of Memorial Day, I have learned, started in the US around the time of the Civil War. And as people living in the US, it is a time for us to thank those who have sacrificed their lives in the name of keeping our country safe. Of course, Having people who can keep us, the citizens of a country or anyone living here, safe is a very important function of any society. However, as people who follow Buddha's teachings, I think we can consider this day as a time to think about what true peace is. And in particular, we should think about why Amida's vow was established for us. The benevolence or great kindness of the Buddha is unconditionally giving us immeasurable wisdom and immeasurable compassion, because as ordinary ignorant people who are attached to wanting life to always go the way that I want, and as a person who tends to get frustrated and irritated at things that we do not agree with, the Buddha wishes to reach out to us. Depending on the situation, I hope that you will agree with me that we get angry and end up hating that which we disagree with. And sometimes we even hate people who think in ways that are different from our own or do things differently. All of our conflicts, whether they are occurring within our own household or our neighborhoods or between nations, stem from this self-centered, ignorant root. But when conflicts arise, it is so easy for us to find the faults of others and blame others without looking in ourselves to see how we contribute to problems in our own lives. It was taught to me that when we point a finger at someone else, there are 3 fingers pointing back to us. So when I was growing up, I learned this, and my siblings and I would just go like this and point to each other and say, "It's your fault." But really, we have to understand that we are involved in the conflict as well. On weekends like this, when we reflect on peace and war, we may think, why can't we have world peace? Why can't we reach that? What can we do to reach the state of world peace? How many of us here like the idea of world peace? How many of us dislike the idea of conflict and war? It may sound difficult to hear, but it's actually this feeling of expressing likes and dislikes that is exactly what makes conflict continue. Because we have feelings of like and dislike, agree and disagree, we try to prove ourselves right and prove others to be wrong. And then our opponent, who is also human, wants to do the same thing. They think they are right and that we are wrong. And they try to prove that. And then we end up in conflict, and around we go in this cycle of conflict, in this unending cycle of samsara. In contrast to how we may react this way, when Buddha sees us behaving in this way out of our own aversion or anger or hate, Buddha does not get upset or angry at us and never turns its back on us. Instead, Buddha looks upon us with great sadness, seeing how we continue to treat each other in this way. Out of this sadness, and with a mind that completely understands the human situation, Amida unceasingly is embracing us with wisdom and compassion, with the aspiration that we realize that the way I view the world, what we may these days call my truth, is not the way that Buddha sees the world. When we can realize what Buddha is illuminating for us, naturally, out of gratitude for the Buddha's vow for us to be liberated from this way of life, we are made to want to continue to listen to Buddha's teaching and do our best to follow it. When our heart and mind begins to change in this way, we naturally begin to have a softer heart and mind. For example, maybe we can have a new understanding about the person or situation that we don't like or agree with, and can be open to seeing or hearing other perspectives. Maybe this will lead us to not jump to hating others and considering them enemies, but simply acknowledge that they too are human and we happen to not get along on a particular topic. In the entryway of my aunt's house in Japan, she has a sign written by an anonymous author that says something to the effect of, "How can we ever have world peace if we can't get along with our neighbors?" This sign really reminds me of what Buddha is always trying to teach us. We might want to change the world, but we must first be aware of our own personal matters in our own lives, including being aware of how we participate in conflict and disagreements in our own households, our own families, our neighborhood, our communities, etc. This is part of the reason why Amida became Amida, in order to give us the wisdom to see this process begins in our own lives, and it does not stem from outside of us. Once we can settle ourselves within the realization of the vow, that the vow was made for me because I am like this, then we are settled knowing that the vow will carry me to the Pure Land as I am. And we can also be settled in knowing that the vow is illuminating my life with wisdom and compassion to help me reflect on my own matters. Once we can know this for ourselves, it is then that we can recite Nembutsu with gratitude in our hearts for Buddha's compassion and with the compassionate wish for all others in our lives, including all of the people in this country, whether we agree with them or not, for them to hear this vow for themselves. And with this heart, our Nembutsu contains the wish that expresses, for the benefit of all beings, may there be peace in the world, and may the Buddha's teaching spread. Thank you very much for being here today and allowing me to speak on the Nembutsu for Memorial Day. I hope we can all continue to reflect on Amida's vow and allow it to permeate our hearts and minds, giving us a strong foundation in our lives. I would now like to briefly give a Dharma message in Japanese, after which I will close both messages reading a letter by Master Renyo. 今から日本語でご法話をあげます。合唱してください。お願いします。自分の往生は間違いないという人は、仏様のご恩を心に思い、それに報いるために心を込めて念仏し、世の中が安穏であるように、仏法が広まるようにと追われるのが良いと思います。欲を考えになってください。ナマンダウツ、ナマンダウツ、ナマンダウツ、ナマンダウツ。皆さんおはようございます。今日のメモリアルデーのお参りへようこそお参りくださいました。ご存知の通り、メモリアルデーというのは、もともとは戦争で亡くなった人たちを思い出す日です。アメリカに住んでいる私たちとしては、この国を守るために、尊い命を犠牲された人たちに感謝の思いを表する時です。もちろんそのように、国や私たちを守ってくださる人々や制度は社会にとって必要です。しかし、仏様の見教えを仰ぐ私たちとしては、この日は平和を考え、日にしなければなりません。この日をなぜ阿弥陀様が本願を起こされてのか、 を考えるのに最適な日だと思います。この週末に戦争や平和というものを考えると、なんで世界平和が実現できないのでしょうか。平和のために何ができるのかと考えるかもしれません。私たちのうち何人が戦争は悪いことだと戦争を憎んでいるでしょうか。平和はいいけど戦争は悪いと思いのではないでしょうか。このような好き嫌いという思いが争いを引き起こし続けるのではないでしょうか。この思いがあるから、私の考え方が正しく、私に反対する人たちの考え方が間違っていると思います。このため、自分にとって都合のいいことは正しくて、自分に反対する人たちが必ず間違っているということを証明しようとするのです。そして、私が反対する相手の人たちも同じことを考えて、私たちを敵として、いつまでもぐるぐると苦しみの世界の中で回り続けています。仏様の命には、このような私たちの生き方を愚かで、本当のことを知らないという意味の愚痴の存在であるとおっしゃっておられます。ですから、このような私たちのために、阿弥陀様が本願を起こされました。光を当てくださるのです。それによって少しずつ自分が見る世界と仏様が見る世界は全然違うと気づかせていただきます。阿弥陀様は悲しみの目で私たちを見ておられます。阿弥陀様は知恵の光によって私たちの愚痴に気づいてほしいのです。自分の愚痴に気づかせていただくと、自然に心がゆっくり変わってきて、心に感謝の思いが出てきて、仏様の御教えを聞いて、その教えを守るために最善を尽くしたいと思うようになります。心がこのように変わると、自然に心が柔らかくなります。例えば、多分、自分に反対する人たちを新しい立場で見られる。立場の違いを検討する用意ができるかもしれません。もしかしたら反対する人たちを憎まなし敵と思わないようになるかもしれません。また、意見が合わない人たちをこの大きな世界の中の兄弟というふうに思うかもしれません。このように煩悩が自らの心にあるから、私のために阿弥陀様が本願を起こしたと知らせていただくとき、私に阿弥陀様の大慈悲を与えてくださったことに、心から感謝の思いが起こり、念仏を唱えさせていただけるようになります。この念仏の中には、一人も漏れることなく、すべての人がこの普遍の願いを聞いてほしいという慈悲の願いが込められています。この願いを聞かせていただき、私たちはあらゆる生きとし生きる者のために、世の中が安穏であるように、仏法が広まるようにと追われるのが良いと思います。と念仏もさせていただきましょう。じゃあ、メモリアルデイのお参りにご参詣いただき、 誠にありがとうございました。最後に、I will now read Renyo Shonin's ご文章。Please join me, or please put your hands in Gasho. Lay people in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Humbly and respectfully. 万代無知の在家真純の何よたらん友柄は心一つにして阿弥陀仏深く頼み参らせてさらに世の方へ心振らず一心にこにぶ助けたまえともさん主情はたとえ在後は人寿なりとも必ず皆如来は救いましますべしこれすなわち第18の念仏の上の洗顔の心なり核のごとく献上しての上には出ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなりあなかしこあなかしこナモアミダ仏ナマンダナマンダナマンダツナマンダナマンダツナマンダツナマン
Thank you, Reverend Umezu, for your Dharma message this morning. Now, would you please follow along for the reading of Ryogemon?
Please join me in Gassho, hands together once again, as we recite Ryogemon, words of understanding of our tradition. We rely upon Amida Buddha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our imperfect view. There is no doubt that the assurance of enlightenment comes at the very moment we entrust, and we recite the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, in joy and gratitude for the Buddha's compassion. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and succeeding masters who have led us to live in this profound teaching, and we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Ryoge Shutsugon, Moro Moro no Zogyo Zashu Jiriki no Kokoro o Furistete, Isshin ni Amida Nyorai, Warera ga Kondo no Ichidaiji no Gosho, On tasuke sorae to tanomi moshite soro. Tanomu ichinen no toki, ojo ichijo on tasuke jijo tozonji. Kono ue no shomyo wa gon hosha tozonji, yorokobi moshi soro. Kono on koto wari chomon moshi wake soro koto, gokai-san shonin go shussei no gon. 次第相乗の全知識の朝からざるご関係のご恩とありがたく存じ候。この上は定めおかせられる恩をきて、一語限り守り申すべく候。ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ。 Namandats Namandats.
Okay, so now it's time for announcements. We offer several study sessions here. The first one is on Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. And there's one more left, May the 28th, and this is led by Reverend Takata. Then if you can't make the Wednesday session, there is a Saturday from 11 to 12, also via Zoom. And the next one is the 31st of May, also led by Reverend Takata. Now in June, it's 21st, we will be having our annual yard sale from 9 to 1. It's really big. It's going to be really big this year. And we are still accepting donations up until the 6th of June. So that's a hard deadline. So nothing else after the 9th. But if you can come, please do so. Starting June the 24th, we will be having our Obon practice here in the temple parking lot. And it's from 7 to 8:30 every Tuesday and Thursdays up until July 17th, except July the 4th. So if you want to learn some of the dances, please come out for that. Now this year we are offering again the Obon Memorial Lanterns. And this is so that you can remember and honor your loved ones. We have a decorative tassel that will have the name of your loved ones with their Buddhist name. And it'll be hanging from a lantern, and these will be hung in the street while we dance. So the deadline to order these it's July the 20th. And if you have any questions about it, you can always contact the office. Now every month we have bingo at the temple. And it's usually the third Friday of the month, but for June only, it'll be the second Friday. And this starts at 7 o'clock. This is held in our social hall just across the way. And attendees, they've been bringing some snacks to share with everybody. We have free parking. We have water and tea. It's a lot of fun. All cash prizes. And the more people that attend, the bigger the cash. So come on down. We have some temple apparel that we sell. And the first one is our t-shirt. Looks like this. It's got our temple logo on the back, and then it's got WLABT in the front. So these are $20 each. It comes in either V-neck or crew neck. And if you're interested, you could see me today or contact the office anytime. And then we also have a new happi. This is also with the logo in the back, and in the front in Japanese it'll say West LA Buddhist Temple. So if you're a member, this is $80 each, and for non-members it's $95 each. And then finally today after service we are showing a movie entitled Enlightenment Guaranteed. So if you have time, please just go across the patio into the social hall to enjoy the movie. So with that, that will conclude our Memorial Day service for today. Dharma Kids is next weekend. Okay. So if you have any kids, grandkids, please bring them next Sunday for the monthly Dharma Kids program. Quick questions. Are there any veterans here today? Yes. Thank you for your service. All right, so again, that will conclude our service for today. And Sensei?